now for anybody who's not here. So welcome everybody this evening. Today we're back to basics. I'm trying to do this little session for information for new agents, but anybody who has joined us, who's been here forever, who's done it 15 years, you want to brush up on your skills. It's never a bad thing. They're constantly changing. Web forms, as you know, they just changed the Untitled recently. So, I mean, just because I'm entitling it for new agents, everybody's welcome to join. So we can always be brushing up on our skills that way. So I wanted to do preparing offers today. So this is when you've been working with a buyer client and you finally decide, okay, I want to put an offer in on this. I want to go over common pitfalls, things we need to watch out in our agreement of purchase and sales, how to create them in web forms. And if we have enough time, I'll show us how to push it off to Untitled there. So I'm just going to go share my screen to my Stratus. Okay, so in Stratus, when we log in, this is what our homepage looks like. Let's go to it here. If you haven't got your login yet, if you're really, really new, don't worry about it. When you first log in, this is what it's going to look like, okay? So you're going to already have an advantage if you're attending this session because you're going to already know a few things to do when you log in, right? So here's where we normally go and search properties. I just want to go over to the web forms in Untitled, and I want to show you the basics of creating a kit before we start working on the kit. So you're going to go to web forms here. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go down to settings, okay? And you want to make sure that your preferences are all set up properly. So you want to make sure your user information is correct, especially since you're going to use this web forms and Untitled to e-sign documents. You want to make sure that it's the correct email address that you're using on a regular basis, that the phone numbers are in there properly, and that everything is accurate, okay? So if it's your first time in here, that should be your first point to go in. Now, what I usually do is I like to go in here and set up my contacts because I don't like typing the same email address over and over again. So anybody I've done an e-signature in has been put in here, I can tell you, just in case you need to go and do a sign back or something like that, you don't have to continually go in and put in the email address. So I'm just going to start off quickly and show you how to put a contact in. So when you go to the business card here, you go to add, okay, and you're going to create a contact. And you can assign a type to this. This will help you with the wizard in Untitled. If your buyer happens to turn around and be a seller later on, it doesn't matter. You can assign contacts different. But if I'm working with a buyer right now, I usually put them in as buyer because anything with an asterisk you have to fill out. So buyer, and the first name is going to be, say, Christine. And it's going to be training, right? And we'll just name it bolandrealtor@gmail.com. Okay, and we'll save that. So now if I go in here, I can see that Christine Training is in there. Okay, it's in my contact list. Just so you guys know, when I go into the Untitled where I'm grabbing the contact from, it's from this section. Okay, when you're in here, this little like dashboard looking dial here, gauge is just their dashboard when you first come into web forms and Untitled. So if you have kits that you're currently working on, it always puts your freshest ones at the top. Okay. The house is to create kits. So when I say create a kit, it's going to house that transaction for you. So if I'm working on 123 Main Street, in that little house, when I create 123 Main Street, it's going to keep all my documents for that particular transaction all together in one place. Okay. So I'm going to go click on here, and to create a new kit, I'm going to go to add. Okay. And we're just going to name it. Oh, look at this 123 Main. You can tell I'd use that a lot for training. It comes right up right away. And after you do this, you're going to take one step further. When I joined here, I created templates for the office. So you guys don't even have to think, oh my God, I'm new now. I forget, what forms do I need? I need my FinTrack. I think I need my BRA. What do I need to work with this buyer right now that I'm going to create this offer? You just have to pick off the list what you're working on. Okay. So let's just pretend we're doing a freehold purchase offer, just a basic freehold purchase offer. Okay. You're going to click on that and then you click create. Once you click create, you come into this wizard, okay? Now I could sit here and I could start filling out stuff like 123 Main Street. Oops. Okay. I just usually bypass this because the way the kit works is all the forms that you have within the kit, if there's similar fields, it'll fill it out in all the forms within the kit. So I just find this an extra step that I don't need to take. So I just usually go next, 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 but it's all preference. If you want to fill it out on the screen, fill it out on that screen, it's not wrong. This shows me all the forms I have in the kit. Now, if I have to add something, this is just the basic kit that you use on a regular basis. Okay, the most common one. If you have to add a disclosure or you have to add an additional schedule in here, this is the point where you do it. So I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm going to pretend that I'm related to my purchaser and I'm going to add a disclosure. So I can go add. And I'll type disclosure here. If I can spell. Registrant's disclosure of interest. So what we're doing is we're purchasing. So it's for acquisition of property. When you click on the basket there, when you click on the circle, it throws it in the basket. Okay, so you know you've selected that form and you click add. So now I have all my forms, the basic ones that we use for everyday transactions, and I have a disclosure. Okay, I'm going to go next and done. And now my kit has been created. So I can go and I can start working on it. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the agreement of purchase and sale real quick here. As soon as it decides to catch up with me. And you see, because I filled in that 123 Main Street in the wizard, it's filling it out here. Okay, but I'm going to show you why I tend to skip that step. So I'm going to pretend my buyer is Christine Training, right? And I always tell people save, save, save when you go between your paperwork, because sometimes it glitches and you're going to lose everything you just filled out on that form. So you just go to the folder here, you hover over the disk and you click a quick save. Okay, now that information is saved. The paper here is how you go between different forms in your kit. So I'm going to click on the form and I'm going to go from my agreement and purchase and sale. I'm going to go say to my confirmation of cooperation. Okay. Here you see, because I put Christine Training on the agreement of purchase and sale, it's now transferred it to the other paper within the kit. Okay, so anything you're changing within the kit, wherever there's a similar form, it's going to automatically fill it out for you. So it's really great. There's no more double work. Before we used to have to like fill out all the fields in the paperwork. Super easy now to do. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to create another kit and I'm going to show you how to even get it one step further to make it so easy for you guys to create offers. And then I'm going to go over the common pitfalls after I do that. So I'm just going to get out of the web forms right now. Okay, and I'm going to go back into our home screen. So like I say, if you're new and you don't have your login yet, this is what your home screen looks like when you log in. Instead of going to web forms, I'm going to go to search properties. Now from search properties, I'm going to go and I'm just going to pick a random something that's available for sale right now. So as soon as it catches up with me there, or did it glitch? Strategist is glitchy sometimes, so you have to keep an eye on it. Okay, I'm going to go to area and let's do Toronto. And let's just do, I always do around the office. So we're in EO4 around the office. Okay, and I'm going to click submit. So I have shown my client 6 Stamford Square. I'm going to click on it. And now I'm ready to create an offer for them. Okay, so instead of going to my home page when I first log in and going to web kits, I know the property I'm going to work on. Now, if I want to create a blank offer and take it with me, the first way I showed you is a great way to create it because we don't know what property information is going in. But if I already know and I've already shown it to them and I'm creating it now on my laptop at home or in the office, I'm going to come to the listing first. I'll show you why. From here, on top of the listing, it says Web Forms and Authentisign. You're going to click on Web Forms and Authentisign from there. And it takes you directly into a kit. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to take and choose my freehold purchase offer because it's a freehold home. And I'm going to click create. See, now I click create from the listing. You see how it's auto-filled everything in the wizard for me? I don't have to go put 123 Main Street here. It has it all in. 6 Stamfords, the residential, the MLS number, the property width, the property depth, postal code, everything, description, whatever you need, right? So now I'm going to go next, next, next. Okay. Through all of that information, it's already all auto-filled there. I'm going to click done and I come into my forms. So I'm going to go back to the agreement of purchase and sale because it's the main one I want to go over tonight. So as you see here, it's taken everything off of the listing and put it into the agreement of purchase and sale for me, which is fantastic. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to put the date. So today's date, there's a little calendar you can use. You just have to click on the calendar and pick the date. Now, say you're preparing this offer the night before and your client's not going to sign it till tomorrow. You can pick tomorrow's date. It has to be the actual day that you're creating the offer and sending it in and get your client signing it, right? So we'll just pick today's date. And we're going to put the buyer as Christine Training, right? Now here, this is one of the pitfalls of using the wizard. It autofills everything for you, but see how it's put both people who are on title as the seller on the same line, okay? I know in all the other kits and all the other forms within the kit that when it comes to the e-signature part, I need them on separate lines because they have separate lines to sign, right? So at this point, I'm just going to take a quick copy and paste, and I'm going to put it in the line beside it so that when it comes to e-signature time, it's going to separate it on separate lines for signing. Okay. So now I have that. At this point, always go and check your listing now. Okay. You have to be mindful that because your kit has now auto populated from the listing. Someone loaded that listing, whether it's admin at the front desk of that brokerage or the actual listing agent themselves. Human error, okay? There could be spelling mistakes. They could maybe have listed one person on title when there's two. You're doing the due diligence for your client. They're purchasing this for probably over $1 million in today's market. You're purchasing something for over $1 million. You better be taking a couple extra minutes and checking things for your clients, right? So I'm going to go back into the listing. And how do you check title? At the top of the listing, there's something called Geo Warehouse. You see this little orange house here. You're going to click on it. And it's going to take me right into the property report for this. So I can see it's two people, Maritoni and Miradrag, right? Both with the same last name. I'm just going to go back to my form here and check that it is those two people that they put on title. Okay, yeah, and it looks like the spellings were correct. So that's my first bit of due diligence there. So then I'm going to come here and I'm going to go 6 Stamford Square North, Toronto, Ontario. Great, the postal code and everything. If you want, you can Google search to check and make sure the postal code is correct. So all you have to do is go to Google. I'm kind of like an overchecker when it comes to my offers for my clients. So I like to check everything. It's not necessary for the postal code though. I mean, hopefully it's correct, right? So 6 Stamford Square. Okay. And it's telling me it's M1L 1X5. What have they put here? Oh, I'm sorry, I just have to move my Zoom meeting out of here. M1L 1X5. So it's correct. Okay. And now I got to figure out it's fronting on what side of the road. A lot of people confuse this when they're creating their offers. So I'm going to go back into the listing. I'm going to see what they say. And here they said it's fronting on the north. Does everybody see that? Oops, I'm totally highlighting everything else. Fronting on the north. Okay. So how do I know that that's correct? I'm going to go back now to where I checked it. And I'm going to see that this property is not fronting on the north. Okay. I'm glad I've checked it and like disagree with what this agent has put. So does everybody understand the concept of fronting? Okay. You always got to imagine that it's the opposite way the house is facing. Okay. So here, it keeps on wanting to bring up that other part here, where it says 6 Stamford Square, we can see that the front of the house is facing the west side of the road. Does everybody see how I get that? So this is north, this is east, this is south, and this is west. This is the house, this is Stamford Square, and the front of the house is facing this part of the road, which is the west side of the road. So I'm going to say that this listing agent did not list this correctly. And I'm going to do my due diligence as a good agent for my clients. I'm going to put it's fronting on the west side of Stamford Square. Okay. I'll do a quick save at this point. Just like to save as I go along. So now I'm in the city of Toronto. Okay. Having a frontage of 38 by 123. 38 what? Okay. You have to use your drop down menu here and pick whether it's feet or meters. And again, I'm going to go back to my Geo warehouse and I'm going to do a quick double check that the listing agent has the correct information for this. So I see that it's $37.99 by NA. Where did he get that from? So this is a legal document. I think that 38 is rounded up as incorrect. I would change this to 37.99. And now I can't see where he's got the other measurement from. So I have another way of checking to see if it's available. I'm going to go to MLS and I'm going to come up here to property line PDR to see what it says. So this is the MPAC report that the city gives you. It gives you assessed values, frontage, depth, a little bit of information about the property. Of course, Stratus is glitching out on me. Let me try to push it again here. Property line. Here we go. So it's asking me if I want to do report close. I just don't want to check the information. So this one says 38. So now, I know just from doing this a long time, I'm more likely to rely on MPAC. Geo Warehouse never used to have the dimensions in it until like later. It was only a place really to check title. It's evolved over the years, has more information on it. So 38, 37.99, it's not a big difference, but it's kind of a good show to you guys about why you should be going in and checking this. So now I'm confident to put 38 because property line has it. If both said 37.99, I would have kept it. Okay, but they still don't have this depth. So I'm wondering how he's gotten this. And I see that it's an irregular lot. Okay, it's an irregular lot. I can click back on Geo Warehouse and I can see how it looks irregular. So I'm going to go scroll back up here. And the problem with saying that this is 38, what is it, by 123? So he probably has on the survey that this lot line from front to back is 123. And he's probably taken the biggest side, right? The problem with this is that when you say something's 38 by 123, we're envisioning that it's a perfectly square or a perfectly rectangle lot. So the surface area is going to be a lot bigger than if I say this irregular lot is 38 by 123, right? So I'm not comfortable keeping the 123 here because my client could come back and say to me, you said on the agreement of purchase and sale, this lot was 38 by 123. I calculated that, right? Hold on, let me just pull up my calculator here. I calculated 38 times, whoops, not 138, 38 times 123 is 4,305 square feet, okay? I went to the city and I tried now to get a permit to build a, 2,400 square foot house. And they gave me that permit. And now I've started to build and the city has come and said, oh no, you can't build that because your lot in fact is not 4,300 square feet, right? Because if it was perfectly rectangle, this is not so bad. You'll see sometimes there are lots that are quite triangular, right? And it's a whole lot of square foot difference, okay? So if I put this in, I'm legally responsible for giving my client wrong information that that's what they purchased. I wouldn't keep this 123 and I'm not comfortable with it. I would put 0, okay? Because being 0, I'm not confirming that it's a perfectly square lot. And if they need to get the square footage of the whole lot, if they want to build on it, they're going to have to figure it out with all the different lot lines. Yeah.
So I think that was my question from earlier as well. Like,
yeah,
in case you get a different answer from MPAC Geo Warehouse versus the MLS listing, you go with the MPAC, right?
I would go with the MPAC for lot lines and stuff like that. Geo Warehouse for title. MPAC's never going to tell you the title, right?
Right. And then, and then the frontage and
the depth. I'm just more comfortable going with MPAC because doing this 15 years, MPAC was the only place to check that information. Geo brought it in after the fact. Geo was only like a place to check title. So again, they're taking all the information and they're kind of just, keying it in to their database to spit out a nice report as well, which is great. I just, out of habit, rely on MPAC more. But as long as you show you did your due diligence, if anything comes about and the information was incorrect, you can always say, hey, no, I went into Geo Warehouse. I'm confident that I did my due diligence. If you make it a habit to do it every deal, you never have to question, did I check that? You're going to go in and you're going to check every single deal, because you're going to know that, God forbid anything happens in the future, you get a RICO complaint, you're going to say, no, I know I checked the Geo Warehouse or the MPAC on that. So one of those two is going to say what I put in that offer.
So,
Right.
But if, like in this case, if you're completely unsure, it's better to leave it at 0 than like the incorrect number.
Yes, yeah, because when you do the proper number, they're assuming that it's a perfect square or a perfect rectangle lot, which is incorrect. Because if they do a quick check, the square feet is going to be incorrect. Right?
How about just write irregular?
That's what I'm going to show you very next, what I'm going to do, right?
Okay.
So that's a really good question. So here it says City of Toronto, right? And it has the lot and the legal description of it. I'm just going to double check what it says here. Now, very often, as we know, if you guys are loaded any listings, there's not a lot of room when we're loading our listings to put it in here. So in this case, this looks pretty correct. I probably wouldn't touch it. It's a real short description. If it's a long description, I just tend to delete whatever is here. And I go into either Geo Warehouse, here where the legal description is, or property line, and I just take the same thing and I copy and paste, because then I know I'm not relying on the fact that maybe he or she ran out, the listing agent ran out of space in the listing to put it in. And I know that I have the legal description correct and it's 100% there when it needs to be there, right? Over here now, the purchase price. The purchase price for the offer is whatever your client wants to offer, okay? So say we're offering $1 million for this. Okay, it comes up 1 million automatically. And the deposit, the buyer is going to either submit it herewith upon acceptance or as otherwise described in this agreement. So we normally use the first two, herewith as if we're bringing it with the offer, right? Upon acceptance as if we're not creating a draft until the offer is accepted and then we're bringing it to the client. Or you can have different arrangements if you made some kind of, you know, oh, as soon as this is accepted, the lawyer will provide you with it out of my fund, whatever you're doing, right? But I rarely use the third one. And then I get asked often, what do I put for a deposit? Okay. There's no hard and fast rule about what to put for deposit. If for $1 million property, you could try 30,000. But I'm going to tell you, if I'm the listing agent, I want to know that I'm confident you're not going to walk away from the deal. I feel 30,000 is a little less, and I'll explain why. For instance, the market we're in. Okay, I have $1 million listing, and say I put 20,000 just for easy figuring. I put 20,000 down for a deposit. $1 million property, great. We're done. We're sold. Our closing's in 4 months. Okay, we all know that there's some interest rate hikes going to happen soon in the market. Right? They're doing it to soften the market. So imagine during this 4 months while I'm waiting for close, the market is softened. And now the bank comes back to me and says, you know what, this is no longer worth $1 million. I think now it's worth 920. Okay. Do I lose my 20,000 deposit that I gave? Or do I take an $80,000 hit by closing this property? I can tell you, working in the market in 2017, when it was a lot like it is now, it was a super, not mind you, the prices weren't as crazy. It was a super aggressive market. Everything was going over asking like mad. Bidding wars were crazy. 2018, it softened. Anybody with those 6-month closings or those long closings that hit a wrong patch when all of the prices started to go down and the appraisal started to go down, people were walking away from their deposits. If it wasn't a substantial deposit, they were walking away. So while your client, you as a buyer agent, you're like, oh, I don't want them to put too much skin in the game, you know what I mean? Or it's hard for them to run around and get a thick deposit. I, as a listing agent, am really looking for a minimum of 5%. And I'm sure you guys have seen that a lot in the brokerage remarks, okay? 5% is obviously because we're going to cover the commissions, right? So on $1 million, you go for 5%, it's $50,000, right? So $50,000 is more what I want to see in an offer. If you come with an offer for $1 million and you come in for an offer with $1 million and your client can't come up with more than 20,000 and your client has 50, I'm going to advise my clients to take the 50. I feel more confident. I feel more confident with their finances. I feel more confident they're not going to walk away from the deal. I feel more confident they're going to scramble to close. If they're going to hiccup with their mortgage, they don't care. They're going to make it work because they don't want to lose 50,000, right? If anything happens with the appraised value, they're not going to walk away from the deal. So definitely try to calculate and push your clients to say 50,000, especially right now in an aggressive market. Your offers are going to be accepted more. I talked about this a little bit on Tuesday when I talked about winning multiple offer situations. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to talk to your client about having that tangible amount ready to go. All right, by negotiable check payable to, where does the deposit go? Okay, so we have to go to the listing again, and we're gonna look down, who's the listing brokerage? It's eXp Realty. So I'm just gonna copy this because this is what my client has to take as their deposit check, write on their deposit check and bring once this deal's been accepted or if they're bringing it to the bid date. Schedule A, are there any other schedules? Again, the place you check that is you go back to the listing, close this up, you go to the top. Any additional schedules or attachments are at the top of this listing. So I'm just going to click on them and I'm going to see what they have attached. Don't forget, there could be good information in there for your clients. Very often they upload the survey or they upload some floor plans, none of which necessarily need to go with your deal, but you can email to them to your clients just to help them make a decision, right? So this one has a Schedule B. So I'm going to make sure that I download and save that to my computer somewhere to add to my offer a little bit later on at the assign point, right? Then I'm going to click on this. Okay, they've named this a schedule. This is an offer summary document. I rarely download these off the listing because every form then you have to fill in with a text box and assign. It's easier if you autofill it in your kit. I'll show you that it's already in the kit. We do 801s all the time now. Usually they were only for bidding situations and bidding situations weren't every day. Now almost every listing is. So I just attached it in a kit because 801s are going with every single offer, right? And I'll explain what an 801 is in a little bit if you guys don't know. So let's see what the other property information is. Upgrades and improvements. Okay, so this is a good thing to give your clients. If they end up winning this, they can talk to their insurance company intelligently about the property, you know, when the roof was last done, you know, the age of the heater, stuff like that. It could also be a talking point for them, how much they want to offer for the property, depending on what the upgrades are, right? So that's information I definitely would have looked at ahead of time and sent to my clients. And then coronavirus statement. A lot of us are putting up COVID forms. So again, this is something you have to print off and get your clients to sign before you're allowed to view the appointment. This is eXp Realty, so obviously they're not hooked up to Broker Bay. When we're booking appointments, we're hooked up to Broker Bay, so our COVID forms go automatically, just like when we're booking appointments and you kind of do e-signature online. This is more of a, you know, print and send to your client, or, you know, send to your client to e-sign yourself. Okay, so now because I did that, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go, okay, there's a Schedule B. Okay. And it's going to be irrevocable by the buyer until whatever time. So because things are bidding wars, a lot we're seeing is 11:59, the same day of the offer, right? Because you only want your offer valid for that evening, because if you don't win the bid, you want to go on, be free the next day to go on and shop with your clients, right? 11:59. Completion date. So completion date, you guys have to make sure, as we know, that it's a Monday to Friday, has to be a working day. It can't be a holiday. Lawyers don't work on weekends and holidays, so they won't close your property if you put a date that's not a valid business day, a working day, right? So you always have to check that. Fax number and email address. So this is where you'd put in your information. So I'd put in the brokerage information here, right? Whoops. As I tabbed over. And then I put in my email here. So the listing agent knows how to coordinate with me. And then here you can find back to the listing. You can find out the brokerage's fax number. It says 000. So you find this is happening a lot. People are getting away from faxes. Not a lot of people use it anymore. And then the email address for the listing agent, I had to simply click on their name and I see it's right here. I just right click it so I don't make any mistakes. Copy, and I go back to the document and I paste their email. Okay. Chattels included. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the listing here. The chattels included here are the extras. So I just sort of take this and copy and paste into my offer, but then you have to go back and edit it because sometimes they put stuff in here that isn't really a chattel, that shouldn't really be in this field. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to see what there is. So fridge, stove, fine. Dishwasher, washer and dryer. I don't like these terms and legal documents, these short forms. We know we do them for a listing because there's not a lot of room to fit, but I would go and I would say washer and dryer for my client because they could say, no, W&D, I meant, I don't know, something else. You know what I mean? They could, you definitely want to itemize things properly. All ELFs, I go and I take the abbreviation out of that. I put electrical. It's almost hard for me to type here because I have it up on the podium and I'm short, so I can't really even see the keyboard when I'm typing. All electrical light fixtures, window covers. Again, I put all window coverings. They've shortened that because they mustn't have had room in the listing. Oh my goodness. 1 second here. I've got too many things open. Clicking. Okay. Let me go back up to where I was working on that. All right. So all window coverings. And this is really important. You guys don't realize how much is important. I know that we're going over some minor things today, but the reason I'm doing it is because I've witnessed people having issues with their offers, and I'll tell you a couple stories. So these things weren't itemized in here clearly, or they forgot to copy and paste them as per the listing. If you don't put them in there, don't take for granted that the sellers are really nice people and they're going to leave the fridge and stove, even though you forgot to put it in the agreement of purchase and sale. They'll say they forgot it, you'll close, there won't be a fridge and stove, and you'll be responsible for buying one for your clients because they thought they were buying with a fridge and stove, right? All window coverings,
Sorry,
that's okay.
must have to be written in the house. I think so, yeah. They have to be put it in the fridge and stove and dishwasher, washer.
Like
Must, no?
yesterday I saw.
They don't
a
have
house that
to.
Didn't have a fridge or a stove or a kitchen, actually, but you know, that it's still sold for like over $1 million.
Some people put it in new fridge.
How much did it sell
Never
for?
work, just
How
for
much-
the stove. and
Actually, when I
the-
bought my place, they
Yeah.
replaced the stove, but they had that as a front.
Yeah,
Right. As long as your client's aware of it, right?
yeah.
So I was going to touch on that as well, right? But anyways, here's ring doorbell, ring home security, fridge and freezer in basement, collapsible above ground pool and equipment, patio set, glass table and 4 chairs, fire pit and burning wood. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that description so far. I might go back because maybe they just did a new renovation and they have stainless steel. I want to make sure that they're not going to, like Annabelle was just saying, they took one out, at least you knew it in your agreement, but that happens a lot when you just itemize and put fridge or stove. Rico is really saying that we should take a picture and even put like a model number in if necessary. But if I just went and showed you 10 houses and now you've decided to put an offer on 123 Main Street, am I really going back to 123 Main Street to take the serial number of that fridge? It's difficult for us, right? It's not feasible. It doesn't make it doesn't make time management sense, right? So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to try my best to look through the pictures and try and put here stainless steel, whoops, fridge, stainless steel stove, right? Stove. So at least even if they, you know, are really rotten people and they go and they take it out because they really like that one and replace it with something, my clients still not getting the basic white fridge kind of thing, you know, built-in dishwasher, washer and dryer, all electrical light fixtures. So I think I'm pretty happy with this chattels section now. And I'll go on. Fixtures excluded. Anybody can add anything. Really, really easy with computers these days. Make sure you type in something in this field. I put none or NA or something like that, right? Rental items. Do not forget to ask the agent. So is not only hot water tank, okay? People can have a rental on their furnace. They can have a rental on their AC. They might have the pool equipment could be rental. You know what I mean? If it's coming with this collapsible pool, you never know. So that can be a big cost to your clients. While a rental water heater might only cost, say, $30 a month. Once you get into furnace and AC and everything, that can maybe cost you, $150 a month, depending on what style or how high end they went with the furnace and everything. So you definitely want to ask the listing agent, what are the rental items, right? And I want to make sure that it's just a hot water tank. We had someone again that I just dealt with within the last couple of weeks who had the same issue, and the clients were asking them to pay the balance of the rental out of their pocket. So it wasn't the rental for them because they didn't make her aware that it was a rental in the agreement. So you can lose money at the end of the day. Yep.
So if you do ask the listing agent, they do have an obligation to they're not allowed to withhold that information.
No, they can't hide. They have to completely disclose it. And when I say ask somebody with important things like this, you have to be really mindful that people say, oh, I didn't say that, right? I always shoot a text or an email just so you have something in writing. Is a hot water tank the only rental in the house? Yeah. Okay, great. No problem. Right. So HST is always included in unless you're not doing resale, but most of the resale goes HST included in. The title search. The title search is another part where people are like, what do I put here? So I don't know if you guys noticed, but I put the 8th there for the closing on the first page. All I'm going to do is I'm going to count 2 weeks back. You need about 2 weeks with the lawyers because they need enough time to check title to make sure that there's no liens or encumbrances on the property. But they also need it close enough to closing, right? Because maybe there are some things that they're releasing off title or working on, or maybe the contractor that they didn't pay last year realizes, hey, their house is up for sale and registers a lien last minute, right? So you want to make sure that there's no liens or encumbrances within about a 2-week period for closing, right? For the lawyer to check that. And then here we're going to go and it's going to be single family residential.
Sorry for the interrupt.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, old house take long time for searching it. What's the difference? It's old computer.
No, it might not only be old houses. It's usually like estate sales or probate take a long time. Maybe that's sort of what they were meaning. Like if you have an old lady who's lived in her house for 60 years and she's passed away and you got to go through probate, that takes a long time. Yeah, that's why probate, if a house is being sold during probate, they can't guarantee when closing is because they could be searching all day for the liens and encumbrances. It takes a long time to go through all of the matters of the estate and sort of close it all up and make sure that everything's off that property.
They are
Yeah.
not depending like a house there, this one I pay this house, that way.
Yeah, exactly. No, they have to make sure that they're offering you clear title. So I had an example at 121 Centennial. So just a heads up, if anybody's selling it, I'm sure it's passed now and it's fine. I haven't actually checked to see if anything's closed recently, but I think about 2 years ago, must have been 2 years ago, I sold 121 Centennial. I sold a unit there and the lawyer went to check before closing and there was a lien. And the owner said, well, it's not our fault. There's a lien because what had happened is a townhouse complex and they had done some cement work and they weren't happy with the cement work the cement company had done. So the condo board didn't pay that cement company. So the construction, the cement company put a lien on the property. Well, just because it's not my fault whatsoever at unit number, whatever, I sold 55, right? It doesn't matter. Okay. As a seller, you're not offering clear title. My buyer's lawyer wouldn't close with the lien on the property because he says you're entering and there's a lien and it has nothing to do with us, right? So there was a big fight going on between the two of them and the sellers said, well, we're keeping your deposit because it's not our fault either. My clients had to fight for the deposit and it ended up ruling in the buyer's favor because it's up to the seller to sell with clean title. So if you don't have a clean title, a clear title to close, it ends up most of the time being the seller's fault because you have to make sure that your title is clear. And part of the little fine print on our agreement of purchase and sales, it says that you're providing a clear title to that person, right? So you can't like not pay your contractor, then haha, sell your house, and then the next person has to pay the $50,000 because now there's a lien on the property, right? So it prevents that.
So lawyer start searching normally 15 days.
About 2 weeks, yeah.
So even a lawyer can search that about the house earlier also, maybe his cost, I don't know, you know what I mean? That
He
then
can.
He knows what's the problem. Like you said, if somebody passed away, somebody's
Yeah.
taking care.
Yeah.
So he should know that one. Or not.
Mhm. It's true, but I tell you that they usually go closer to closing, which sucks because it usually delays our deals because the theory behind is from the flip side. Even if there is a clear title, if I didn't pay my contractor and he sees that I put my house up for sale now and he wants to go put a lien on my property, he might do that and it might happen close to closing. So they kind of check and make sure that there's nothing there close to closing. Yeah, that there's a clear title. All right. Have you guys, I'm going to go over the agreement of purchase and sale. I have a whole other training. I'm already running out of time here, but it's okay. I'd rather go in depth and explain it all to you guys so you fully understand all the fields of the agreement of purchase and sale. Because like I say, you have to do your due diligence. You're super liable for everything you put in this document. Don't get in the zone where you're just auto-filling everything on the regular and not checking, because you will get into trouble at some point in your career. If your clients ask you to go to explain the legalese of these clauses to them, the first thing I say to them is, if you want, I can give you a copy and you can go over it and ask me specifically the clauses you don't understand instead of explaining every single one. But if they do ask you, you should know what they are. If you guys haven't read over it, you're filling out this form, you're signing your name to it, you should know what all the clauses are and be able to explain them to your clients. So I will do a session for training on all the legalese behind it and all like the layman's terms, the terms in like layman's for all the little clauses and everything in here. But take a moment and read them all and see if you understand what they mean, right? Yeah.
Sorry, it's a stupid question.
That's okay. No.
But are these standardized, all of the clauses,
So-
and can you put like custom ones?
So usually I would advise strongly against it because these forms are created by the Ontario Real Estate Board. The Ontario Real Estate Board has got a team of lawyers together to see what they feel should be the standard clauses, right? And they've left these blank parts for us to fill out. And then we have a schedule at the end where we can put our own clauses in, which I'm going to go over quickly here. But for me to cut this out with no like lawyer background, right, or adjust it for my client, is getting into like a little gray area because you don't like, we don't know, we're not professional lawyers. We don't know why specifically they've needed that clause. And I can guarantee you these clauses have grown over the years. Now, just running my property management company, I'm going to kind of put it similar to my lease. Every time I've added a clause, it's because I've had to. I've run into that problem where I needed that clause in that lease in the property management. So I guarantee you that's the same sort of thing over the years as I've seen these clauses grow in the agreement of purchase and sale. I wouldn't touch them and I'd be really careful. And I just tell my clients that I say, you know, they're there to protect you and everybody in the transaction. And I don't write them. The lawyers for the Ontario Real Estate Board write them, right? So here's a real quick scenario about how I want to separate the signature lines. Remember there how I tried to separate it at the top? Because it wasn't done originally on this, it's taken it and put it both on the same line. So I'm just going to take it quickly and put it in here, right? That way, when I go to my e-signature, it's already all set up there. I'm going to try to hurry this up. I have 5 minutes. So here is the acceptance, okay? Big mistake I see. Some people have had to go back to both the seller and the buyer and fix this document because this is a big one in this document. Your date of acceptance and time of acceptance has to match what? Your irrevocable on the front page, right? So if I put here, I'm going to go back real quick on the first page, buyer, 11:59 on the 3rd of February. Okay. And then I come back down here to the acceptance. Your acceptance has to match. So I can't put anything. I can't put 2 p.m. on the 4th of February. This is an invalid document now, right? I have to put that I signed this, say, at 11 p.m. on the 3rd, right? Day of February, and it's within the time of the irrevocable. And then get your client to sign it. Okay. Put your information in the co-op brokerage section. The acknowledgement is another area that I always see people signing first round, and it's wrong because the acknowledgement is saying to your client, I know that I have an accepted agreement of purchase and sale. If you're just throwing it into the bid and you're getting your client to sign this, it's a really dangerous zone because say they change the front page to say, you know, okay, it was the buyer submitting it. And then the seller accepts, like say it's the next day and the seller accepts, right? You've already had your buyer sign this, okay? So they think they lost the bidding war last night, but that deal fell through. But you had them sign, they go, hey, I've got this copy with an acknowledgement on it, right? Let's just fill out an acceptance on that offer. They were the second or third in place, right? You have to be like, there are nefarious people out there who will do these things. You have to think about it. So a lot of people say to me, well, it's way easier because to get them to sign it all at once. No, it's very incorrect. You have to make sure your clients are signing it after an offer has been accepted. Okay, because there's scenarios where you can get them into a lot of trouble.
11:59, I know.
Yeah.
Night. So AM, PM.
Yes.
Okay, PM, 11:59 midnight.
Midnight tonight. Yes. Yeah.
With AM, and the lunch.
Lunch. Yeah.
12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Not the AM 12 o'clock. Not the 12 o'clock.
No, exactly. This is the reason why these documents are 11:59 and not 12, because
Right.
everybody gets confused by the 12, right?
Yeah.
So 12 a.m. would be a minute like into
Next day.
yeah, it's the next day technically, but it's still that night.
Still that night.
Yeah,
that's-
midnight,
people
midnight.
confusing sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
This is why that they, with all the documents, they do 11:59, 11:59. You see that so commonly because it's just more understood and less confused what day it is, right? Yeah, because some people go, oh, I have till 11 till 12 a.m. on the 4th.
Yeah.
It's only 2 minutes, it's only like a minute after 11:59, right? And they're
Yeah.
confusing it because they're seeing the next
Yeah.
day date on it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be careful for that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so next time I'll go over, I know someone asked me about loading listings. I'm definitely interested in doing that. I really want to do it with you guys. So maybe I'll go to loading listings and I can come back to this, but I want to go over the Authentisign and the clauses in the agreement of purchase and sale. Loading listings is a great one. In the coming weeks, I want to do pricing strategies as well. Super important that you guys know all of that, whether you're new or not, but it's definitely a good brush up. But feel free to reach out to me and let me know what you want for the topics for these Thursday evenings. Like I say, I'm trying to gear them towards the basics and not just like, you know, I have some guest speakers coming in and stuff like that, but I really want to make sure you guys know the basics and you guys are confident to go and write those offers. But like I always say, if you're in the middle of it, reach out to me and let me know. I'll be happy to help you if you guys are stuck on any of it during the time you're creating your offer or loading your listing or whatever you're doing. Does
Steve,
anybody have any questions online there?
how do you attach the Schedule B? To your,
How do I what? Sorry?
The Schedule B. How are you
Sorry, I
going to
missed what you
attach
said.
it? There is
How
a
do I-
schedule. There is a
Oh, how do I
Schedule B,
attach the
right?
Schedule B? That's a really good question. It's
Yeah.
done during the Authentisign time. At least I do it during the Authentisign time. I don't do it separate. So when you'll see when I push all of those documents into Authentisign, okay, which I'll walk you guys through. From there, I can pull in an additional document. So I can just save Schedule B on my computer somewhere and pull in that PDF into Authentisign. Right? So you don't
So
have,
the
you don't have to.
Schedule B from the listing agent, eh?
The Schedule B for listing. So Schedule A is what you write for your clients, clauses you write to protect your client. Schedule B is generally clauses to protect the listing agent or the listing brokerage, right? Like they usually say there's no like interest on your deposit, that the measurements and stuff aren't not necessarily 100% accurate. They have the right to advertise, different things like that, different things that protect the listing brokerage.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Very good, very good. Well, everybody have a good week. Tuesday, I believe it's this Tuesday. Let me just double check here on my schedule. Yeah, so Tuesday, February 8th, I'm doing purchase plus improvements with a good mortgage agent that I use a lot, Anne from Centum MetroCap. She's doing purchase plus improvements, and I also asked her to touch on what she thinks about the interest rate hikes and the prediction for the year. So definitely an interesting subject. Purchase plus improvements is super important for us these days because everybody's buying a flip. They want to know how to get the money. When I close it in such a hot market where I'm spending so much on the property, where does my renovation budget come from, right? So it's definitely a product we can offer our clients. So I thought it was an interesting thing to get her to come in and chat about. All right. Everybody have a good evening. Be careful if you go out anywhere. I know it's been snowing, starting to snow and getting slippery out there. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you so much.